Ian iDubbbz Jomha, better known online these days as Anisa's husband, is a man who likely needs few introductions. If you search his name on YouTube these days, you'd be hard-pressed to find a video that paints the man in a positive light. But if you jumped back in time to 2016 or 2017, you'd find a very different situation. This is in part due to Ian's magnum opus series of videos, Content Cop, which were widely celebrated around the commentary communities and brought him a large following of dedicated but edgy fans, and all of the success and financial rewards that come with a large online following. As time has rolled on though, Ian has found his supporter base waning and his base of detractors ever growing. His Content Cop series became a distant memory, replaced with content that failed to live up to his fans' expectations, eventually leading to Ian disavowing the Content Cop series entirely.
You know, if I'm gonna have the balls to go to Tana's fan meetup and say slurs at her and then make a video about how it's okay to say slurs, I think I should have the balls to make an apology video and take accountability for the mistakes I've made.
He has since embarked on a number of other projects and ventures in an attempt to reinvent himself, but all efforts have so far ended in vain. Things have gotten so bad, in fact, that he is now widely considered to be a LOLCOW by the farmer communities which once held him in such high regard, and things only seem to be going from bad to worse. Back in April of 2025, Ian would surprise many by bringing back Content Cop, where he would attack his former friend and collaborator Ethan Klein. Many would see this iteration as a poor recreation of his former series, as it lacked the dark humour and well-produced skits that the series had become synonymous with. Despite this video accumulating over 7 million views, a lot of the reception has been negative, and Ian's career is very much on a downward spiral. Join me today as I take an in-depth look at the Content Cop series as a whole and try to understand how he found so much success with the series in the first place and how it's all gone so horribly wrong. This is iDubbbz, Anisa, and the deserved downfall of Content Cop. Content Cop initially started in a somewhat unremarkable fashion. The first episode was released in December of 2015 and covered Jinx Reload, a reaction channel who was the target of much criticism from the growing commentary communities on YouTube at the time. Jinx was actually one of the first reaction channels to blow up, and his format is quite similar to the reaction streamers in the current age, where they essentially just watch a popular video and pause intermittently and offer their opinions, except Jinx was mostly clueless on the subjects at hand, so his reactions and commentary were generic and lacked insight. This approach called into question whether his content fell under fair use guidelines and led to criticism from many other creators, including PewDiePie, Keemstar and I Hate Everything, who all produced videos criticizing Jinx's use of other creators' content. Ian's video stood out in a sense because it was well researched with slick editing, it was funny, and he'd included a montage of skits in the intro highlighting the strong production values. To put it simply, there wasn't a lot of creators in 2015 who were going to this much effort to criticize a reaction channel. The criticisms Ian throws at Jinx mainly revolves around Jinx's decision to show other creators' videos in their entirety, and also towards some of the unoriginal / borderline copyright infringement video series featured, such as the celebrity parody interviews or Looney Tunes in the Hood.
Set my goal to outdo everything they did.
You sound like a fucking legend, Jinx. Your goal was to outdo everything the other reaction channels were doing? So you looked at the Fine Bros reaction channel and you said, yeah, I could do better than that. I'll show the video in its entirety rather than just showing clips of it. That's where the Fine Bros are fucking up. Maybe you thought you were gonna outdo the other reaction channels by improving your video quality? Oh no, that's just gonna stay at 720p. I can't go any higher. I couldn't be fucked. I upload 4 videos a day. You know how long it's gonna take if it's 1080p? I'll kill myself.
That's not to say that Ian's video went viral. Because he had jumped into the drama quite late, the Content Cop sort of just existed within a sea of other Jinx exposed videos, but it did set a strong foundation for Content Cop moving forward. iDubbbz broadened his approach for the next 2 entries into Content Cop as he tackled the food reviews and toy review channels, and I honestly feel like these represent Ian finding his feet with the new format and just fleshing out his catalogue. dialogue, almost like his way of refining the system for what was to follow. Neither of these two videos have the more serious undertone present in the Jinx content cop, but the comedic elements were very much still a factor and amplified in certain ways.
Can I have this?
Honey, you already have the Darth Vader, don't you?
Yeah, but I need Han Solo.
Honey, what did I tell you?
I want it.
What did I tell you?
I want it.
Put it back.
I want it.
I'm gonna count to 3. 1, 2. Don't
Put the camera in my face.
Overall, I don't feel like these were bad videos, but quite forgettable, at least outside of the larger focus on skits and the iconic theme tune making its first appearance, and then would forever be synonymous with Content Cop moving forward. Ian's next detective venture would see him diving onto the Fine Bros controversy, which was being widely covered by the commentary community at the time. For context, the Fine Bros are a reaction channel who have a higher standard of production than your generic reaction content, where they have in-person guests on a show reacting to viral clips, a format which proved incredibly popular. But they found themselves in hot water after making the ridiculous announcement that they were going to trademark reaction content as part of their brand.
We are excited to announce React World, which is a first-of-its-kind program that allows people and companies to license all our popular shows online so that anyone, even you watching right now, can create your own versions in a fully legal way and be part of a new and exciting global community.
In entertainment industry terms, when you create a version of a show based on someone else's format, this is called licensing, which many TV shows have done over time. For example, Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent. It's the same show format, but licensed legally to be created in other locations.
The idea of trademarking something as broad as reaction content is as ridiculous and stupid as it sounds, and as you can probably imagine, they were clowned on quite heavily for this, and many hit pieces and parodies were produced by a wide spectrum of creators, leading to the Fine Bros retracting their position.
Hey everybody, this video is us wanting to explain some things about React World. The confusion and negative response over what this all is has been so overwhelming.
It's hard to really comprehend what they were even thinking or how they ever perceived this to be a good idea. Ian saw the situation as an easy way to further establish his new series, with the Fine Bros being very clear low-hanging fruit. The content cop on the Fine Bros focuses heavily on humour, with Ian clowning on their appearance and making the predictable Jews-like money jokes.
I mean, if I put a pixelation over this dude's eyes, you wouldn't know if they're pussy lips or his eyes. Don't get me started on the other one. Look at his glasses. What a Jew! Please, iDubbbz, would you start lapooning the revenue pros already? You're hurting my brain.
Honestly, there isn't really a lot to say about this one. It isn't really a great video. I feel like it is the weakest in the series, as it didn't really bring a fresh perspective on the situation, as Ian mostly re-peddled the same talking points as the rest of the community, and the video seemed to serve more as a means just to cash in on the drama. He would later express similar sentiments in a 2017 episode of the H3 podcast.
Previous ones that I did, like the Fine Bros, if I had to take any content comp video back, it would be the Fine Bros one. Because for me, I felt like I was very much jumping on the trend of like shit on these two Jews and make fun of their fucking faces and how much money they want and how greedy they are and that sort of shit.
Up until this point, Content Cop as a format wasn't anything spectacular. Of course, the production values were strong, the jokes were funny, and the series had a lot of potential. However, the subjects that Ian had chosen for the videos were all very much low-hanging fruit of the time. They didn't appeal to a wider audience or were unlikely to respond to Ian directly. This was all about to change, however, and Ian was about to change the course of YouTube history forever, as he took a huge risk and targeted a creator who was widely disliked and on the receiving end of mountains of controversy, but they also controlled a very popular YouTube channel and retained a much larger audience than Ian did himself. On the 5th of May 2016, iDubbbz released the Keemstar content cop to widespread critical acclaim. Daniel Keem, the host of Drama Roulette, had found himself involved in many controversies by this point in his career. This included Keem encouraging his viewers to racially abuse a guy named Alex during a Battlecam livestream, tweeting at Total Biscuit that he couldn't wait to report on his death, and falsely accusing an elderly RuneScape streamer named Tony of being a pedophile. Things which he would later apologise for, and despite the backlash that he was receiving, he still maintained a very strong following of fans and supporters, and was sort of like a figurehead in the commentary community. With all of this in mind, Keem became an easy target for many of the quote-unquote exposed videos which were beginning to pick up popularity in 2015 and 2016. A number of these videos went on to do incredibly well, amassing millions of views, and they achieved this by portraying Keemstar as a sociopathic lunatic, and to an outsider looking in, this narrative did a solid job of highlighting Keem as some sort of internet villain. But to anyone who was closer to the commentary scene or a follower of Drama Alert, they would have known that many of these videos lacked the full context for the clips that were being shown, and they refrained from including apologies that Keemstar had since made. This effectively left these videos wide open for retort from Keemstar himself, and he would do a reasonable job of defending his position, though I feel his emotions did perhaps get the better of him at times.
Why am I still getting hate? Why am I still getting hate? Why am I still getting hate? Why am I still getting hate?
Ian took a different approach with his content cop on Keemstar. It opens with a long skit with Ian searching the sewers as Keemstar and the Drama Alert music can be heard in the background. He eventually locates the Drama Alert host, or rather a garden gnome he has painted to Keem's likeness.
Do you come? Fuck.
I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's get right into the news.
The now iconic content cop music plays out, and the scene transitions to Ian in the cop suit ahead of the backdrop that would become synonymous with future videos in the series. This skit itself is quite funny, and it was apparent that the production values of this video far exceeded the previous 3 episodes. Ian meant business. He criticises Keem on many points, but he mostly focuses on the negative way in which Keem used his platform Drama Alert as a sort of personal battleground of sorts, whilst presenting the entity as an unbiased news platform. Ian sets the stage immediately by dropping 2 N-bombs in his first sentence, highlighting that he was absolutely not beyond lowering himself to the levels of those he was criticising, but he does so in a way that allows him to capitalise on the comedic elements of using a racial slur, whilst avoiding the negative reception that would generally be received for using such a word. He achieves this by directly quoting the words of Keemstar, which effectively gives him the argument that they aren't his words, and it's nothing more than parody.
Hey, everyone type Alex is a stupid nigger in chat. Now, I'm not going to be using any of these classic lines as argument points in this video. Instead, I'm going to use them for comedic relief. There are plenty of other things to insult the rat for.
There has since been much debate surrounding Ian's use of racial slurs. In retrospect, this wouldn't hold up too well with a modern audience, and he absolutely did have people who were criticising him at the time. Nevertheless, though, back in 2016, the use of racial slurs for comedic value was absolutely fair game on YouTube, and Ian's fans absolutely loved it. It's this boldness boldness and confidence which had genuinely just set Ian apart from a lot of the competition at the time. He just gave a more grounded approach, and he had a genuine funny personality. There were a lot of people criticising Keemstar at the time, but almost nobody who was doing it in this way. The video closes out with another long skit which includes a parody of Smash Mouth's "Hey Now You're an All-Star" before the Keemstar garden gnome is blown to smithereens. Yeah, 2016 YouTube really was a fucking wild time, man. Interestingly, Keem didn't respond in the way that many had expected he would, as he didn't go after Ian or try to debunk the criticisms in the content cop, but he rather just acknowledged that the video was funny and pretty much left it at that. Overall, this content cop stands as sort of a monumental achievement for Ian, and it set the standard for what content cop would represent over the next couple of years. In retrospect, it still holds up as a very entertaining video that puts Ian's current content to shame. However, it is worth noting that in the initial weeks following its release, it didn't perform any better than most of Ian's content at the time. That would all change in the summer of 2016, however, when Keemstar had a very public falling out with Leafy Is Here and Grade A Under A, and both Leafy and Grade went on to produce several hit pieces on Keemstar, which stirred up massive interest in the topic. This had the effect of the algorithm promoting the content cop to a wider audience, and the iDubbbz channel experienced a massive boost in growth. With all of that in mind though, it would actually turn out to be quite ironic, as Leafy would become the next target of iDubbbz. Following on from the Keemstar content cop, Ian would thrive with his newfound audience, and his existing library of videos such as the Kickstarter Crap and Bad Unboxing series would experience a surge of new traffic. For Keemstar though, he found himself at odds with his former friend Leafy Is Here. Their friendship had deteriorated seemingly out of nowhere, with Leafy and their other close associate Grade both producing hit pieces on Keem, which for the most part consisted of the clips from Keemstar's past, which had already been widely circulated before Leafy and Keem had even became friends in the first place. This called into question whether Leafy and Grade had an ulterior motive for turning their back on their former brethren.
Keemstar is a fucking tumor on this website, mate. And his channel is cancer. Drama Alert is fucking cancer, man. Plenty of people have tried to make him go away, right? But he's still here. The cancer won't go away. But don't you worry, mate, because I, Dr. Grade A Under A, am an oncologist. And do you know how to get rid of cancer? With some chemotherapy. You feel me? Seriously though, right? Keem's just been getting worse and worse, especially recently. A lot of what he's done is privacy intruding, literally life ruining.
As you could probably imagine, this betrayal sent Keemstar into a frenzy, and he would release a number of videos on Drama Alert calling out Leafy and Grade and accused them of turning on him simply to farm ad revenue, and capitalised on the backlash that he had already been receiving. This claim would later eventually be proven to be true, as Leafy would come out and admit it years later on a Drama Alert. Nonetheless, the situation reached a boiling point when Leafy was invited onto Keemstar's podcast Baited, where he vehemently denied Keem's accusations and tried to explain the betrayal.
Video to make me look as bad as possible. You fucking lied about me.
I didn't fucking lie about
people. Yes,
no,
your
I did not
is
fucking
a lie. The
no, I did not fucking lie. I did not. Okay, you gonna let me talk or not, dude? You talk about me all the time on the fucking podcast, and then you don't even let me fucking talk.
I had your back so many times.
Let me fucking talk.
Backstab me,
dude.
for
When are you gonna fucking
views
finish?
And money to get ahead on YouTube, because being friends with Keemstar at that time was a bad business
respond
decision.
to your fucking
so
one
you
of your
made
points?
a good business decision, but in
Can
the
I
end,
fucking
you fucked up. You didn't see the long
Can I
run.
fucking
you had
even
no
talk, dude?
idea that I
If
was
you're just
never
gonna fucking talk the
give
entire
up,
time, what the
that I
fuck is
was
the point of
never
even
gonna
having me
fucking drop
on?
this, that I
Sit
was
there and
gonna
talk about the
continue to
fucking
work
great
my
and Leafy
ass off
podcast
and
Leafy gets
entertain my
on.
fans and
Nobody
build
even
my
fucking lets me
reputation
talk.
back.
All right.
You had no idea that
This engagement didn't amount to any kind of resolution resolution, but did serve to be a good source of entertainment for those on the sidelines. Leafy, at this stage of his career, was arguably the most popular creator in the commentary community, amassing millions of views on his daily uploads. But with this immense popularity also came immense scrutiny, as he would find himself entangled in dramas with a variety of creators throughout 2016. Most notably, this was with Ethan Klein of H3 and of course Keemstar. Though in all fairness, these feuds did little to halt his growth, but had rather amplified it, as his fans genuinely just enjoyed his rant style videos. The content he produced varied between Leafy attacking other creators in the aforementioned rant series of videos and him making fun of smaller creators, which in most cases were children and amounted to cyberbullying. It would be the latter of these two forms of content which would land Leafy in hot water on a multitude of occasions, so it was only a matter of time before his rise was checked. Enter iDubbbz, who had been patiently observing the ongoing drama surrounding Leafy and was likely rubbing his hands together in anticipation. In September of 2016, Ian released arguably his most infamous video of all time, the Leafy Content Cop. The theme of opening with a skit continues, and this time around he messes around in a car park before being approached by a kid, and rather than assist them, he chases them away as the theme music plays out. The criticisms he throws towards Leafy are actually quite tame in all honesty, and the general theme of the video concerns Leafy effectively being a bit of an insecure little bitch, whilst the success of his channel had been built upon him bullying smaller creators and just being a bit of an edgelord.
You do the anti-insult and you'll win every time.
Driving a car, the Minecraft logo in the corner, his fucking teeth. Nah, fuck that. I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today.
I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today after showing a picture of his fucked up snaggletooth to my millions of followers. A zoomed in picture of his fucked up snaggletooth. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna be talking about the kid today. I'm not gonna talk about his fucked up teeth. His teeth? The fucked up thing in his mouth? I'm not gonna talk about that. That would be a fucked up thing for me to do. These things? Not gonna do it. Not gonna talk about those fucked up, nasty things.
Leafy's ongoing conflict with Keemstar comes up quite often, and Ian calls him out for his videos mostly consisting of information that had already been widely in the public domain prior to their friendship even beginning.
Did you guys know that Leafy and Keemstar were friends? Yeah, his video might lead you to believe that he just met him once at a small YouTuber meetup.
Making a video on someone that I've actually met at a little YouTube meetup.
Just a little YouTube meetup. You know, nothing big, just a classic flying up in a helicopter sort of meetup. You know, one of those meetups where we get our meat out and we beat each other off up in the helicopter sort of meetup. That sort of meetup. No, it's just a little one. You know, nothing big.
Keemstar's been shit-talking me and one of my good friends, Grade A Under A, who's also a YouTuber, straight up to multiple different people, and on top of that, behind our fucking backs.
Holy shit! Behind your backs? Wow! Man, you can read people really well, Leafy. How did you even become friends with him in the first place?
This simply highlights the point that Leafy is as untrustworthy as Keemstar, and I don't think it was intended to be a defense of Keem. Though I'd imagine that seeing this was likely a welcome sight for Keemstar, who at this point was on the receiving end of probably his biggest hate campaign to date, as both Leafy and Grade A Under A's fans were coming at him. The video transitions to another skit, and it's some kind of fairground where he is placing posters of Leafy up in search of his chin, and in addition he is also hosting chin related games for the public to participate in, with prizes to win.
Attention beach goers! I'm giving away some prizes over here. All it takes is hiding a chin. We also got a blender,
Overall, it's a pretty strong video, though in retrospect it perhaps doesn't hold up as well as the Keemstar Content Cop, simply because it lacks any in-depth analysis or deeper insight onto Leafy's problematic behaviour, and rather serves as a means just to give Leafy a taste of his own medicine by bullying him for 20 minutes straight, though I've got to admit it is quite funny. Leafy's response came around 4 days after the Content Cop, and it was apparent that he just didn't get it, as he played directly into many of the points that Ian had made, and he also included a bunch of these just awkward skits where he definitely wasn't trying to prove that he has a chin.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the Can you guys see me right now?
The video did not go down well with the community, and even many of Leafy's own fans turned on him at this point. Ian was very quick to capitalise on this response, and he produced the first episode of Content Deputy to highlight the fallacies and lack of self-awareness with Leafy's points.
Who is this cute little lesbian, and how tight is her pussy? I'm sure you guys went and saw the Leafy response video already, where he systematically dismantled each and every one of my arguments.
As with the Content Cop, the Content Deputy didn't provide any in-depth insights because it simply didn't need to. With that said though, Ian was absolutely ruthless and systematically picked apart Leafy with ease, and showcased that not only had Leafy failed to grasp the point of the Content Cop, but he had also been baited.
And you pretty much just told me, yes, I am actually very ashamed of my weak chin. Hey Calvin, I watched your response video, and it seems like you're still quite a bit bent out of shape about the whole no chin thing. It's probably my fault. I don't think I gave you enough options the first time around. So here's another option. Just get a bit of clay and mold yourself a new chin. This look right here I'm calling God's Winter. I think you're really going to like this next one, Calvin. This one is called Ladies' Night. Huh?
Honestly, looking back on this, I do remember actually feeling just a tad bit sorry for Leafy. Don't get me wrong, he definitely deserved it, but Ian had just completely boxed him into a corner and left almost no opportunity for rebuke. And it didn't just stop at the videos either. The hashtag #NoChin was trending on Twitter, and Ian was quite active on there, attacking and clowning on Leafy and what remained of his fans in the weeks following the Content Cop's release. Interestingly, and on a completely unrelated subject, this would actually be how Ian met his future wife Anisa, who had actually been a fan of Leafy's, and she DM'd iDubbbz during the TwitchCon 2016 event, and from there they developed a relationship. Moving forward, Ian would experience his most successful spell of his career to date. Basically, everything he seemed to touch at this time just turned to gold. He also began to develop a reputation as being more or less untouchable, because his approach to criticizing his opponents wasn't to morally grandstand, which was typical of exposed videos for the time, but rather to highlight their hypocrisy and make fun of their appearance and behaviors. He was also just incredibly unpredictable. Ian's personality and the outright confidence that he displays and great self-awareness to his own character flaws made him a very difficult person to hold accountable to just any logical standard. For Leafy, however, his career would start on a downward spiral after this, and although he still maintained a strong following of fans and was receiving hundreds of thousands of views on every video, it paled in comparison to the engagement he was receiving just a few months previously. He would eventually abandon his channel in 2018, not to return for another couple of years. It's also just worth noting that the landscape on YouTube itself was beginning to shift in late 2016, early 2017, and the powers that be were becoming less and less tolerant to the content that they considered as cyberbullying, and so Leafy's videos were seeing less and less promotion from the algorithm. Ian, who was absolutely feeling on top of the world by this point, was not about to let his foot off the gas just yet though, and he set his sights on another problematic internet personality who had taken shots at him for his use of racial slurs. something which they themselves had also used on a number of occasions, and they were about to receive the biggest reality check of their career. Tana Mongeau is a YouTuber, influencer, and OnlyFans model who blew up back in 2016 with her storytime videos.
Or welcome to my channel. I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today's story time is the craziest, scariest, fucking what the fuck story I have ever told here on this channel. And it is a long one. It is an incredibly long one. It is a story that is going to take place over months. I have so many things to say.
This genre of content remains popular today, and Tana is often considered the pioneer of these video archetypes. Though it wouldn't initially be Tana's content that would put her onto Ian's radar, as she would actually bring the situation onto herself, as she went after iDubbbz on Twitter, accusing him of being racist for his use of the N-word, and stating in a follow-up stream that she would be happy if he breaks his legs and loses all of his subscribers.
If iDubbbz broke both of his legs and lost all of his subscribers, I would be genuinely happy.
Ian quickly discovered that Tana herself had used the word, and in a far more derogatory sense than he had himself, and he set about pulling off his boldest stunt yet. And on February 6th, 2017, he released the Tana Mongeau content cop.
But she didn't use the N-word in the same way that I use it. She used it in a very mean-spirited way.
You know you stupid. You fucking.
We're gonna be like the last ones to see Tana, so I'm pretty thrilled about that. And we're gonna be like that little cherry on top, so that little whipped cream fluff frosting. Is it worth it? Hell yeah, it's worth it.
Let's go take a picture because this camera's like for the future.
Say.
What made this so extremely funny at the time was the fact that Tana hadn't recognised that it was Ian at her event, and she had gone on to produce her own video where she overly dramatised the situation. In a nutshell, she had taken the bait.
He walks up to me and he kind of like locks his arm around me, like around my neck like this. And it wasn't like it was like a chokehold or anything. It was very like firm and like tight, like I couldn't have really gotten out, if that makes sense. I'll explain that in a second. And so the guy looks at me and he wraps his arm around me and he looks in the camera and he goes, say, and puts his thumbs up and then like blank, and he says the N-word, like hard R, N-word, like say N-word, like hard R, like smiley, loud as fuck, like yells it, and like looks at me and looks into the camera, like
say.
It wouldn't become apparent to Tana that she had been monumentally trolled and baited into the situation until after the content cop had released. From a critical standpoint, and in a similar theme to the Leafy content cop, Ian focused more on Tana's hypocrisy, lies, and negative personality traits, rather than providing an in-depth analysis and deconstruction of her content itself. Thank God. What I think is just so clever about this video as a whole is that Ian diminishes the entire argument between the two down to Tana's stupidity and poor handling of the situation, removing the general political connections which would often be associated with a disagreement concerning racial slurs. This because not only had he baited her into lying on video, but he had also clearly demonstrated that Tana's use of slurs was far more sinister and prevalent than his own, and similar to the Leafy drama, he just completely backed her into a corner and left her with just no opportunity for response. Fortunately for Tana, she would take the advice of her fans and not engage any further. She didn't directly respond to Ian in a video, which by all accounts minimised the backlash. She also issued an apology for her use of racial slurs in the past, and she has since gone on to have a highly successful online career and continues to thrive on YouTube through her cancelled podcast, though she has been involved in a number of scandals and controversies over the years following the content cop. What I find interesting about the Tana content cop as a whole is that even though it was one of the strongest videos in the series with a very well executed troll, Tana herself didn't really suffer too many consequences as a result, outside of just the negative attention that she was receiving from Ian's audience. I feel this is because Tana's content is so far removed from Ian's, there's just almost no crossover between their fans, and as a result, she was able to retain her already dedicated fans. Overall, I feel like it stands as a very strong video and was just another case of a problematic creator getting the reality check that they deserved. It is worth noting that Ian himself did cop some criticism for his use of the N-word in this video, more so than his previous use in the Keemstar content cop, and in retrospect it's not something that would hold up very well given the current YouTube community guidelines. Nevertheless, Ian continued to gain traction, and this video only served to boost his popularity even further. But the YouTube landscape was changing beneath his feet, and the edgy content that had become a mainstream on the iDubbbz channel was not something that YouTube was going to support moving forward. So Ian would need to take a different approach for his next target. In 2017, YouTube was in a transition period. The higher-ups had decided that the drama cauldron of 2016 was not how they wanted the platform to be perceived moving forward. This had led to a noticeable drop-off in impressions for many large creators in the commentary space who had used edgy humour as a mainstay in their videos. Philip DeFranco, PewDiePie and Keemstar were some of the creators who were frequently speaking out about this at the time. The situation would boil over, however, in early 2017 when the largest creator on the platform at the time, PewDiePie, was accused of anti-Semitism. This related to a video where he had paid two Indian guys over a video call from one of those Fiverr websites to have them hold up signs with different phrases written upon them. Most of these were entirely harmless, but in one instance they held up a sign which stated "Death to all Jews." Obviously, Felix had intended for this to be a joke, and he would later defend himself by suggesting that it was to showcase how people would do anything online for $5. Nevertheless, people perceived this to be offensive and in bad taste. Chief amongst them, Disney, who cut ties with Felix shortly thereafter. This situation also effectively served as the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will, for many large brands who pulled their marketing campaigns from YouTube, initiating the first adpocalypse. Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, and even the UK government were some of the largest entities to withdraw advertising from YouTube. This had a major impact on the earnings of many creators, and as a result, a lot of channels changed up their style in order to keep their videos monetized. One individual, however, who was thriving throughout most of 2017 was a creator by the name of RiceGum. He built a strong following, having been on the platform for several years by this point, initially as a Call of Duty YouTuber and streamer, before switching to commentary in 2015 and finding success with his These Kids Must Be Stopped series of videos. However, as Rice's popularity grew, so did his obnoxious ego, and his content pivoted from what was traditional in the commentary space at the time to something closer to what I would describe as lifestyle vlogging, and this would see Rice showing off his luxurious lifestyle, and it amounted to him just flexing on his fans. He was able to find further success through a number of diss tracks targeted at other creators that he was quote-unquote beefing with at the time. With all of this in mind, Rice became a bit of a polarizing figure within the commentary communities, and many were speculating that he could be the next target of a content cop, with even Rice himself suggesting that he wanted one just for the attention that it would bring.
I don't really care at all, but I kind of really want him to make one
on October 3rd of 2017, Rice would get his wish, but not in the way that he had envisioned, as Ian uploaded a video titled Content Cop Jake Paul.
Because it seems like he has this disregard for what he can be criticized for.
What would he say?
And I just want to spell it out. Hey, dumbass, you did something stupid in the past. you can be criticized for it.
If you do drop a video on me, I swear to God, I'm dropping the best diss track ever.
Wow, your words hold so much weight. When have I heard that before?
And I think I'm gonna drop a diss track, so if this video gets more than 2 likes, but me and KSI about to drop a banger.
What should we do, bro?
Diss track.
Diss track.
We got a song on the way. I'm working. We're about to be working all night, overtime.
In the brief period he's been on YouTube, he's managed to commit all 7 of the deadly YouTuber sins. So that's the theme for today's video.
7 deadly sins.
The central theme of the video revolves around the 7 deadly sins, and Ian attributes each of these sins to a different aspect of Rice's personality or an incident where Rice had reacted poorly.
When it comes to showing off the rapper lifestyle, whether it be with women or money, he has the most generic taste imaginable. Let me pile 14 women in front of me to show you that I get women. Do you believe that I'm not gay yet? I'm trying to make up for that time when Fousey was basically fondling me for a minute straight on video. Check out these next clips where I basically lie to some girls on my stream.
No, but I'm not streaming though. I just wanted to call you.
Oh, you're not?
No, I just wanted to call you and just talk.
I'm not live right now, right?
No. Basically, we were just chilling on Omegle. She didn't know that I was live to 3,000 people.
With a lot of these interactions, it's sort of the ends justify the means, because by the end of the stream, they're giddy with excitement because they got all these new followers for appearing on the stream. Oh my gosh, you are lying to me? You're such a goofball.
In a nutshell, Ian's points can be boiled down to Rice Gum's poor treatments of the people around him, his immaturity, his obsession over his public image, and his obnoxious flexing of his wealth. In typical content cop style, the video features a running skit which intermittently cuts between the different segments of the video. The skit lacks the usual slapstick humour which had been present in the previous iterations, but it is very well produced and overall I quite enjoyed it. The running skit eventually resolves into a diss track with Ian teaming up with Boy in a band to give Rice a taste of his own medicine, and surprisingly PewDiePie makes an appearance. The track isn't terrible but somewhat forgettable in all honesty. It did perform well though and peaked at 24 on the Billboard R&B hip hop chart, so fair play for that I guess. Rice Gum would quickly issue a response where he focused heavily on how he had apologised for his past actions and was apparently a better person now, just totally missing the point.
But guys, like I said, I'm sorry. I don't know what else I have to do. You guys want me to like go back in time and like reverse the work? Guys, I've already said sorry to the girl.
This response was just terrible in all fairness. Rice just lacked any real accountability and had missed the point on many of Ian's criticisms. The content cop would be followed up with a content deputy where Ian addressed Rice Gum's response point by point and reasserted many of the original points he had made in the first video.
In the video, he portrays me as like this money hungry. I only care about money. I only care about fame and myself.
No, I don't portray you that way. You portray yourself that way. That's why I used video clips of you portraying yourself that way.
Since he made a diss track, I mean, that's kind of what I started and, you know, kind of what I do. He kind of like stole that.
You didn't start diss tracks. If you want to make the claim that you popularized them, that's perfectly legitimate.
Overall, I found these videos quite entertaining and Ian had raised a lot of good points against Rice. However, I do feel like this sort of lacked the overall punch and tenacity that had made the Tanner, Luffy and Keemstar content cops all so iconic and entertaining. In part, I think this was likely down to the change in landscape on YouTube, with the adpocalypse at the forefront of every YouTuber's mind, so it's not that surprising that Ian thought to tone it down a little bit. With that said though, these 2 videos did still push boundaries. Ian used the N-word again and used racial stereotyping as humour, which obviously wouldn't fly as well today. He was criticised for this, but overall most people didn't really seem to care, as he had an established audience who were already in tune with this type of humour and likely engaged with other creators who catered to the same demographics. The video would go on to amass over 30 million views and has been immensely successful for Ian. Interestingly though, the backlash towards Rice Gum wasn't nearly as damning as it had been towards Leafy, Keem or even Tanner. I feel like the reason for this is because outside of the RiceGum's a bitch hashtag and the diss track, there wasn't any real damning piece of evidence or well executed troll for Ian's community to get behind, and so it basically all amounted to a common feud between two YouTubers that just fizzled out over time. In addition to this, Rice was publicly beefing with Jake Paul, and Jake was quick to jump on the content cop as a way to get one over on Rice. And so much of the hate RiceGum was receiving was actually coming from Jake Paul's fans, and his fans and Jake's fans were just battling it out. Nevertheless, this would serve to be the final content cop for almost 8 years. And looking back on it, it was an entertaining video in a time when YouTube was dominated by the antics of the Paul brothers and the adpocalypse, and so it served as a refreshing change away from what a lot of people were covering at the time in the commentary space. As the years rolled on, the iDubbbz channel would transition away from the edgy humour that had brought it so much success, and Ian's reputation as the untouchable content cop was beginning to temper. On the sidelines, many of the fans of the channel were speculating who the next content cop could be on, why there hadn't been another one, and if he would ever release another one again. But despite Ian's change in content, many of his fans were still frequently requesting him to do another content cop. Well, in May of 2023, Ian finally responded, and it wasn't the video that many people had hoped for.
I've realized that I need to be crystal clear about what I believe, so there's no room for ambiguity. I am responsible for creating a lot of hurtful and damaging content on this channel, and I've also created a culture of apathy and, I don't know, a lot of like cruelty as well. Like, you know, some of the videos I've made have been very not edgy. I don't think they some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel.
This perspective was quite shocking to many, even to those who had completely given up hope of another content cop ever being released, as they just never expected him to go this far and outright apologise to the people he had made the videos on. Many prominent creators within the community were quick to question the logic of doing this and suspected Anisa's influence. Even Tana Monju commented on the situation and suggested that she felt in hindsight and she probably deserved it.
And I guess he posted this apology video apologizing for like a bunch of things he did in the past, one of them being the video he made with me, or like to me or something. And I was like, damn, like I just never expected that. And I don't know how I feel about it, you know, because like, and I don't know how to say this. I'm not talking about anything in regards of the things he said, but I'm more so just talking about like his actions to me. Like, you know, him showing up to my show, him kind of putting me on blast, him inevitably making me kind of canceled and lose subscribers and have to apologize and all that type of stuff. I kind of think I'd like deserved that. And maybe that's like dark, like to say, but like, I don't feel like I'm owed an apology. And maybe that's because I've accepted it so much.
It's difficult trying to even comprehend why he took this decision to make this video in the first place. From a logical standpoint, it made no sense, as by this point he hadn't made a content cop in almost 5 years. He'd moved on to the documentary style videos and then Creator Clash and the boxing, and established a strong following through these ventures alone. So Content Cop was all but a thing of the past, and only a very small minority of his fans were going out of their way to pester him on the subject. I should note that I already have a video essay covering Creator Clash and the documentary stuff extensively, which you can find linked in the comments down below. So I won't be going over all of it too extensively here. But to quickly summarise, Creator Clash 1 was a resounding success, backed by a strong and interesting card, and it sold over 100,000 pay-per-view tickets, as well as selling out the Youngling Center in Tampa, Florida, and raising $1.3 million for charity. For Creator Clash 2, Ian and Anisa upped the scales with a bigger arena and more fighters. But by contrast to the first event, the lead-up was plagued by drama, mostly concerning Froggy Fresh, who had made jokes concerning Anisa's OnlyFans, and he had also trained with Sam Hyde, somebody who Ian and Anisa very much disliked, leading Froggy to be removed from the card. The event still went ahead, but ultimately Ian and Anisa's mismanagement had resulted in the event losing $500,000 and raising no money for charity. Despite these failures, the pair went on to plan for Creator Clash 3, but ultimately the event would never take place. This was in part due to the fact that Ian made the disastrous decision to bring back Content Cop and go after his former friend Ethan Klein, the owner and host of the H3 podcast. Ian and Ethan's relationship goes all the way back to 2016, during a period where both of their channels was experiencing a surge of growth. They would collaborate on a number of different videos together and appeared to become close friends as the years rolled on, as did their respective wives, Hila and Anisa. After the adpocalypse in 2017, Ethan changed his focus towards the H3 podcast as his primary outlet for him moving forward. Both Ian and Anisa made numerous appearances on the podcast, even during times when they were both experiencing immense backlash where Ethan and Hila would support them. The friendship would take a twist, however, when Ethan Klein found himself in a very public feud with political Twitch streamer Hassan Piker and former co-host of Ethan's Leftovers podcast, leading to Ethan releasing a content nuke on Hassan.
I started a show a couple of years ago with my acquaintance, Hassan Piker. You might remember him from such classics as
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers in a video game. Sorry. Holy shit. That's not what I said. You dumb cracker bitch.
And of course, the Leftovers podcast, which was our show, which we made broadly to goof on the antics of the right. Now, to be clear, I knew about all these edgy and controversial jokes at the time we made the show together, because who am I to judge?
This would effectively start a war between the H3 and Hassan communities, which is, in a sense, still ongoing to this very day. Shots would be fired on both sides, and eventually the situation would boil over when Ethan received a visit from the CPS, or Child Protective Services. The caller to the CPS is widely believed to have originated from within the communities of Denims and Bad Empanada, two Hassan Piker orbiters and strong critics of the Kleins. In a stream hosted by Denims, she covered a segment featuring Bad Empanada where he made some pretty fragrant claims of child neglect and animal cruelty at the hands of Ethan and Hila.
He lets his dogs shit all over his mansion, and he just leaves the shit on the floor, something that is probably related to the fact that his former housekeeper is suing him for a number of different reasons. So I would assume he doesn't actually have a housekeeper anymore, or perhaps he lost his extra housekeeper. So now the house is just like covered in dog shit. And he has kids, and his kids like crawl into the dog shit, and God forbid, I don't know what they do with it. I don't know if they eat it or if it's just from like contact with it with their hands or something. But they contracted a parasite that I had previously never heard of in my life called Giardia from the dog shit that is all over his house.
Dude, how is it that like maybe once a week I look into what Ethan Klein's been up to, and every time I manage to find more and more terrible shit.
Some eagle-eyed viewers will likely have noticed the stream chat where references towards the CPS can be seen being discussed by Denims' audience. Ethan would rightly be furious about the whole thing, and he lashed out quite heavily towards many of these creators who were in the influence of Hassan Piker, and he has since actually gone on to take some of these individuals to court for a variety of different reasons. And it's at this point where Ian and Anisa entered the foray. The two of them had maintained a friendship with Hassan and many other streamers and influencers within his sphere. And given that Ian and Anisa were also very close to the Kleins, Ethan had expected a statement from the pair condemning the nefarious CPS call, or at least something to that effect. But that statement from Ian or Anisa would never materialise, as both of them had remained silent on the subject, leading to the Kleins calling them out on their podcast.
Fair weather friends who are so happy to Be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
Ian sucks for the same reason right now. He could say something
Spineless. You're not my friend, and you never were, and you never will be. You never will be.
This call out would finally trigger Ian into a response, but it's not the one people were initially expecting. As on April the 16th of 2025, 6 years in the waiting, Ian brought back Content Cop and he went after Ethan. The video opens up in a traditional fashion with his skits and the theme music playing in the background. However, rather than the intro transitioning to Ian, it transitions to another skit fronted by Hassan Piker alongside some of Ethan's biggest detractors, where they repeat the phrase, "Wake up, Ethan," effectively the ultimate betrayal.
He was right about that. That's not even in the content nuke. And he was right about that too. How did he know everything? How? Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Wakey, wakey, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
With the skits now out of the way, Ian gets to the meat of the video, which effectively consists of him rambling for 40 plus minutes in a far less structured format than older fans of the Content Cop series would have been accustomed to.
I didn't plan on making a Content Cop on H3. It sounds very stupid even saying that. H3, Content Cop, iDubbbz. Ethan Klein's out of control. And then you should do a Content Cop on Hassan Piker. Content Cop on Sargon of Akkad. If I would imagine this in 2016, I would have been like, oh yeah, if I ever do that, it's gotta be because I lose the plot. Well, it turns out it's not me losing the plot, it's Ethan. He's the one who fucking attacked first.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Most of the talking points that he brings up centers around the Ethan Klein-Hassan Piker conflict and why Ian believes Ethan is wrong concerning his views on Israeli and Palestine. Ian seems to take particular issue with Ethan using his podcast as a quote-unquote emotional dumping ground.
You're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are.
Now, I always found this quite rich coming from Ian, given that he and Anisa had effectively spent the better part of the previous 2 years doing the exact same thing in every podcast that they appeared in. For a video with a runtime over 1 hour in length, it surprisingly has very little substance to it. Ian isn't particularly educated on the subject matter himself, so most of the opinions he presents are surface level at best, or just a case of him stating that Hassan said it, so it must be true.
Now, in his podcast with Hassan, Leftovers, they would mostly talk about surface level progressive shit and make fun of right-wingers.
And you're telling me he didn't flick their dick once at least?
Oh, that's 100 shavers, you trans women. I say, oh no!
And it was mostly that until they actually had to reckon with a very serious topic. I would say that Hassan was very well equipped to talk about that topic.
Palestinian people living in the West Bank are subject to these horrific conditions, horrific living conditions by the state of Israel, America's greatest ally and the only democracy in the Middle East, if you ask Republicans and even liberals.
Well, that dance he invented was so kick-ass.
Israeli settlers are trying to evict Palestinian families in occupied East Jerusalem. The United Nations says that may be a war crime. It literally is.
It's just eating the toppings. And the pizza looked like a burn victim. It was all disgusting.
I don't know if you can make that joke in 2021.
Why?
It's insensitive to burn victims.
I think it's a good analogy. It's a powerful image.
Ethan was not prepared for this. Ethan, the whole time, is more of the goof guy, and that's fine.
And it's this approach, in my opinion, that undermines the whole premise of the video, and it seems like more of a parody of previous Content Cops, at least by comparison to the well thought out Keemstar or Leafy Content Cops from the past, for example. The video closes out with Ian collaborating with Psychology in Seattle, surprisingly, who had previously issued Ethan a perfect score for an apology due to an unrelated drama.
There's this incident on the podcast where they were reacting to Cutie Cinderella and Ethan was laughing during it. So that ended up being a pretty important wake-up call for Ethan. He made an apology video directed at Cutie Cinderella,
and it was graded by a professional psychologist, Dr. Kirk Honda of Psychology in Seattle, and Ethan got an A+ rating.
In terms of a public apology, this is A+.
Ethan won't stop talking about his A+ rating, trying really hard to think about an impactful moment during this video, like could I do something that would really wake Ethan up? And I don't know if this came from a good place or not, but I came up with the idea of getting Ethan's grade changed from an A to a B at least. So I went to visit Psychology in Seattle. I'm not confident that Kirk will change his grade, but it's worth trying, and you know, we might learn a thing or two.
Xander! Probably get pretty low marks. Unlike me, perfect score, 10. I said, hey, Lud, no wig drama. Why are you such a spineless coward of a person now that you've inserted yourself and your girlfriend into this conversation?
Okay, iDubbbz, I hear you. You're in the room with me right now. I hear you. I hear your request. I understand it. I can understand where it's coming from. And I guess have a policy that when there is a grade for an apology, I am just grading that discrete apology as I see it without taking any consideration of prior or future behavior. If you're wanting me to comment on the overall behavior or the recent behavior from the clips that you have shown me, I believe that Ethan is a good person and that eventually he will feel sorrow and will feel sorry and will apologize, and I will be there to evaluate that apology when it happens, which I know it will.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Things get even more embarrassing for Ian when he included a clip of him crying because of the abuse Ethan and Hila were experiencing, despite the fact his video is literally designed to make the situation worse for them.
You know, I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Hila. I'm like, fuck, like, it's really hard to be, a couple online and see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like if you come to their defense, that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.
Needless to say, the video was not received very well, and Ethan himself seemed quite shocked beyond belief.
Some breaking news. Your old friend iDubbbz just released a video.
Yeah.
It's about you.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh my God. That is no, it can't be.
Well,
it actually can't be. Holy fuck, dude.
It sure is.
Oh my God. Holy fuck.
And from a quick scrub through, I think, well, it's going to be a little spicy.
Ethan would immediately go on the attack, and he reacted to the content cop and various other statements from Ian and Anisa on the H3 podcast many times over by this stage. The conflict remains ongoing to a certain degree, and it doesn't seem like there will be a resolution in sight anytime soon. For the Jomhas, the fallout from this has been cataclysmic. The iDubbbz channel is seeing its worst return in viewership in over a decade, and many of those are there to simply hate watch and leave troll comments. Despite the horrific reception to the H3 content cop, Ian is expected to follow up with another one, and he has teased as such numerous times on live streams, and there is much speculation around the community on who the subject could be, with many even believing that it could be on the commentary community as a whole, who have widely covered the drama surrounding Ian and his fall from grace. For now though, Ian mostly seems to be focused on political content and live streaming, neither of which seems to be bringing in the level of viewers and success that he has been accustomed to over the years. It remains to be seen how it will all play out from here. The timing of the Content Cop's release would also come under heavy scrutiny, as Creator Clash 3 had been expected to take place in July. This had also created an awkward situation for Lena Ayad, an employee of the H3 podcast, who was supposed to be fighting on the Creator Clash 3 card. Ian's betrayal would lead to Lena dropping out, and other fighters would soon follow suit, and the event would never take place. It seems Ian's main outlet moving forward could now once again be the Content Cop videos. though if the H3 content cop is anything to go by, I'm not so sure the series will be as rewarding for Ian as it once was in the past. I want to thank you all for watching here today, and unless I see you otherwise, I'll catch you in